Welcome back to the Frequency Show. Today's topic is one that impacts all of us in ways we might not even realize. Fear. Maverick, you've said before that fear is the main driver behind most people's actions. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Absolutely, Cole. Fear is everywhere. It's woven into the fabric of society. Most people's actions, whether they realize it or not, are fear-based. Fear of being overweight, fear of not being enough, fear of being single, fear of illness, fear of losing a job, fear of what others think, fear of bankruptcy. It's a never-ending list. And here's the harsh truth. Fear is the engine of the rat race of unhappiness.
That's such a powerful statement, Maverick. Fear keeps people moving, but it's like running on a treadmill. You're expending energy, but you're not really going anywhere meaningful.
Exactly. And the irony is that fear disguises itself as productivity or ambition. People think they're working hard to achieve something, but in reality, they're running away from something.
So, Maverick, let's flip the script. What happens if fear is removed from the equation?
That's where things get exciting, Cole. Imagine living a life without fear, where your actions aren't driven by what you're trying to avoid, but by what you truly desire. Your motivation shifts from survival to creation. You might still do similar things, like working out, building relationships, or pursuing goals, but the energy behind those actions is completely different.
It sounds freeing, but let's be real. Fear is a natural human response. How do people get to a place where they're not ruled by it?
You're right, Cole. Fear itself isn't the enemy, it's how we respond to it. The first step is awareness. Take some time to reflect on your life and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this action motivated by fear or by genuine desire? What would I do if I weren't afraid? Once you start identifying fear-driven patterns, you can begin to choose differently.
And what happens when someone starts to move out of a fear-based mindset?
A lot changes, Cole. Here are some signs you're breaking free from fear. You feel less stress and pressure. You stop competing in the rat race. You're no longer obsessed with what others think of you. You find yourself attending fewer superficial social events. And most importantly, you experience happiness without a reason.
That sounds like true freedom, happiness that isn't tied to external validation or outcomes.
Exactly. And here's the best part. When you operate from a place of happiness and calmness, you're still able to achieve your desires, but it happens effortlessly. It's no longer about pushing, forcing, or chasing. It's about allowing.
So, Maverick, let's address something important. For someone listening who's feeling stuck in fear, how do they begin to shift into this effortless way of living?
Start small, Cole. The first step is to simply pause. In any given moment when you feel fear creeping in, whether it's about money, relationships, health, or anything else, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this fear real, or is it just a story my mind is telling me? What's the worst that could happen, and can I handle it? More often than not, you'll realize that the fear is just an illusion, a mental construct that has no real power over you unless you give it power.
That's such a practical approach. A pause and a question can create enough space to choose a different response.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Surround yourself with calm, grounded people. Fear-based energy is contagious. If you're constantly around people who thrive on stress, gossip, or anxiety, it's going to be much harder to escape that frequency.
It's like tuning into a different radio station. If you want peace and happiness, you can't keep listening to Fear FM.
Well said, Cole. And when you start surrounding yourself with people who live in alignment, who are calm, intentional, and joyful, you'll notice your own energy begins to shift.
Maverick, you've also said that fear can't be completely eliminated, but it can be handled. Can you explain that?
Sure. Fear is a natural part of the human experience. It's not going away completely, but when you learn to handle it, it no longer controls you. You acknowledge its presence, but you don't let it dictate your actions. Instead, you choose to act from a place of trust, alignment, and inner peace.
And what would you say to someone who's wondering what life could look like without fear?
I'd say, imagine it. Imagine waking up every day feeling calm, joyful, and aligned with your true self. Imagine taking action, not because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't, but because you're excited about what could happen if you do. Imagine living a life where your energy isn't drained by stress or anxiety, but fueled by passion and purpose.
That sounds like the kind of life most people dream of. And it's not just a dream, it's possible, right?
It's absolutely possible, Cole, but it starts with a choice to stop letting fear run the show, a choice to tune into your inner self, trust the process, and embrace a life of effortless being.
Thank you, Maverick. To all our listeners, let today's episode be an invitation to reflect on your own life. Are your actions driven by fear or by genuine desire? And if it's fear, what would it look like to choose differently?
And remember, fear isn't your enemy. It's just a signal. You don't have to fight it. You just have to stop letting it control you.
Beautifully said, Maverick. And if this episode resonated with you, take a moment to share it with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to join our Serendipity Lifestyle community. The link is below or in the channel description. Stay tuned to the frequency of FLM, fun, love, and money. Live a lucky life.